All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning to those who are in Hawaii with Chaplain. I would like to introduce you guys to a special guest today. You know what? I'm not going to introduce you. I want you to introduce yourself because I know your name precedes itself, but I want you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, my name is Khallid Shabazz. I want to take a little time on that. Khallid means one whose ideas live forever. Those who don't know, I changed my name from Michael to Khallid. Shabazz, and that means an eagle that flies above all eagles. It means a person that flies alone, which speaks to why I changed my name. I wanted to change my name to kind of exemplify what I wanted to be in the future. At the time that I changed my name, I was actually probably at the lowest point of my life. But, as an example of who you want to be, you create that person. So I created my name, Khalid Shabazz, one whose ideas live forever. And then second, an eagle that flies above all eagles. And so who I am as a person is indicative of what you and I just talked about. It's a motto, lifting as we climb, each one teach one. I've come from special education in the 8th grade, failed the ninth, 10th, and 12th grade. Was lucky enough to go to college. I went to summer school, but God has blessed me with this humongous body. I'm about 6'5", 265, larger than most men on earth.
Yeah.
But I got an opportunity to go to school to play ball. But because I was molested when I was 10 years old, I was struggling with my identity, struggling with whether I was a doggone man or a woman because I grew up with 6 women in the house. And like I said, I was molested. So anybody who looked at me in school for more than 3 seconds, I just beat the hell out of them. I just got to be honest with you because I was
Yeah.
trying to prove that I was a man, right?
Your manhood.
I was trying to prove that I was a man. I thought they were looking at me through the eyes of molestation. And so all that came to a head one night, brother, and your dear audience. People got tired of me bullying them. People got tired of me being arrogant. And I was in the club one night. 6 guys jumped me, shot me in the back, beat me with a shovel to the inch of my life. And I was airlifted out to the near medical center where I almost lost my life. Fast forward about 6 months later, I was healed, but as we go back into the same vomit that we vomited out, I went back to the same club. The same
Okay.
guy was there, and I beat him pretty badly, almost in the inch of his life. The interesting story behind that is, I think God always sends somebody in the wilderness to tell you, don't do something. Well, I went to my friends, and my friends said, hey, man, the boy is in here,
Mhm.
eliminate him, right? Because that's what dysfunctional men do.
Yeah.
We seek to destroy each other. So my so-called friends gave me a 45 and a sawed-off shotgun, and they told me to eliminate him. So I'm going in to do peer pressure what my friend said, and I'm gonna get emotional here, man, but there's always one person that God sends, and his name was Ace, and he said, "Hey, man, um, don't kill that kid, man. You're going to disappoint your mother." And
Mm.
I love my mom. Rest in peace, mom. And so I decided that day not to kill that kid, and I just beat him really bad. I ended up going to jail that night. Fast forward about 6 months later, I was working in Kmart. Wife is pregnant with the second kid, so I had to come in the army. Still
Yeah.
hadn't dealt with the issues. Came in the army from 1991 to 1992, 2 Article 15s, chapter paperwork in hand. Still don't know how to deal with issues. I'm a man. I ain't going to no counselor. I ain't talking to nobody. They don't know me. They hate me. All of the foolishness that's in your head.
Yeah.
So as God will have it, He always sends somebody. I was on extra duty and Sergeant Major came down. And to be honest with you, this is important about talking kindly to people. Because had
Mhm.
he said anything doubting me, I got to be honest with you, I would have beat him to a pulp because I was at the edge. I had already had a plan to kill myself. And I was about an hour away from suicide. Had he said anything, I was just ready to destroy him. But he said 4 words that changed my life. He said, hey, man, I believe in,
Yeah.
come to my office, let's talk. Let me be your mentor. And so part of the reason I'm on this podcast and part of the reason I'm on videos all over the world, I got 1.3 billion views, is because I took his words and his example and I want to touch everybody I can all day, every day, just so I can be a resource to help people out. So that's my story, brother. That's who I am, and that's really 30 years of history that I've given you in about 3 minutes.
I think that's pretty amazing. I know before the podcast started, we was just talking about, where we're from and how the education system was. And prior to, I knew you were a tall person, but I didn't know that you were the same height as me. I'm around 6'5" myself.
Yeah.
So, I think that's amazing. And like I said, I do appreciate you for, wanting to get on the podcast and to continue to spread the positive word to everybody else. What I'll do is I'll just get it started. And I want to ask you, I know you spoke about your personal struggles, but what was that pivotal moment because everybody has that moment that happens in their life where they actually decide, you know what I'm doing is not right. But what is the pivotal moment in your life that essentially shaped you into the leader that you are now?
Well, the pivotal moment for me is after the sergeant major decided to help me. He sent me to the board. I failed all the boards, but it was in those boards that I was failing that I didn't feel like I was a failure. I'm going to say that
Mhm.
again. Even though I was failing the boards, I didn't feel like a failure anymore because I was doing something. I was becoming something. And then, he, would have me and my wife and my kids over for dinner. He didn't address me as, hey, private, hey, this. He talked to me respectfully. He treated my wife respectfully. And I just, for me, I said, man, I want to be this dude. It's like
Yeah.
this is it's possible because he's
Mhm.
regular. And so I'm kind of sitting in the field, and honestly, I see the chaplain off in the distance, right? And I say, my God, man, if there is a God at this point, because I'm going through all kind of crap at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
if there is a God, please don't have that weird dude come over here and talk to me. I can't take it.
I don't know why everybody feels funny about the chaplains like that. I've had some amazing chaplains in my career.
Yeah, most people I talk to, say chaplains are just weird,
Yeah.
and they're afraid of the religious aspect and them coming over trying to give you that kind of stuff. So for me, that's all I was worried about. I was like, hey, listen, man, I don't want to hear none of that crap. But he came over as God would have it and talked to me for an hour.
Mm.
And, at the end of that conversation, he says, why don't you become a chaplain and help people like yourself? My world changed. And I said, because, I'm thinking of chaplain in terms of religion, spreading religion. He didn't pose it that way. He said, why don't you become a chaplain and help people like yourself? I said, my God, like that's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the chaplaincy to really help those people like me, those people who are suffering, those people who have poor self-esteem, poor self-worth. And that was the leadership pivot for me. I said, I'm going to do this chaplain thing a different way.
Yeah. Well, speaking of chaplains, I know you are one of the few Muslim chaplains in the army, right? But what have been some of the challenges as far as advocating for religious inclusivity in such a large and diverse organization like the army?
One of the things I do, honestly, is try to lead by example. Everybody talks about being an example, but most people are just an example for what they believe, right? I have a quote. I said, I inspire until I expire. I don't
Mm.
speak to power, right? I don't speak truth to power. I speak truth to empower, right? So
Mhm.
I'm not speaking truth up. I'm speaking truth grass level, right? And so being a powerful example, what I found was people come to you and ask you about religious accommodation for all people, right?
Oh,
Because they see you taking care of all people, not just the Muslims, not just the Christians or whatever your
right.
flavor is. We had we had a same-sex couple on JBLM. Not to disparage anybody, but nobody would counsel these folks, right? And so Sergeant Major said, hey, I got somebody that will counsel you. And he said, Chaplain Shabazz. They said, in their word, what? Hold up. He the Muslim guy.
Yeah.
Whoa. What do you think he gonna counsel? He
Yeah.
said, no, I'm telling you, he is the guy that accepts all people. See, in
Yeah.
Louisiana, we grew up around all people.
For sure.
Those whom other people considered weird and outcast, they slept at our house. You know what I'm saying? They came to our house. We ate breakfast together. We slept together. We did electric football and all that stuff together. So that stuff doesn't bother me.
Right,
And
right.
I counseled these two ladies. What's interesting about that, when you take people who are outsiders and show them love and cares, amazing things happen. So if you
Uh-huh.
go to the internet, they'll have on there Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Shabazz at the time, first Muslim division chaplain for 14,000 Christian soldiers. So if you start reading under the bottom, they say, oh my God, he's a devil. He's a insider threat. He's an insurgent. He's probably working with Hamas and all this kind of stuff. One guy said, let's find where he is. We'll shoot him in the pulpit. So what's
Oh,
interesting about this is not all of that. That stuff happens all the time. The people who were out there threatening the people who were threatening me were the two ladies that I had counseled like a month prior.
that
Right?
is,
Isn't that amazing?
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So you treat people with dignity and respect, and those people will run through walls for you.
Oh yeah, I do believe that. I mentioned before I had a mentor. It was a Master Sergeant Reed. He's retired now, but he was probably one of the most instrumental leaders that I've had in my career. I remember I was in the regular reserve. I'm an AGR soldier now, but I was in a regular reserve, and I was something called a TPU soldier, and I did not come to battle at all. One day, this guy called me. He was like, "Why you not coming to battle this?" And I was like, to be honest with you, I was like, I don't do nothing. I was like, I come here every weekend and I sit around and y'all put me on KP or you make me go pick up some trash and go help other people. I was like, my MOS is a mechanic, but I actually know how to fix things. And I would really appreciate it if y'all put me to work. So he said to me, come next month. I got something for you to do. I struggled. I almost didn't come, but I showed up anyway. And this guy had me, caging brakes, changing out starters and tires. And he looked at me. He was like, "Man, you're actually a mechanic." And I was like, "Yeah." And he went from I went from being this soldier that didn't show up to being this soldier that was really, really depended on, if that makes sense, right? And then he wanted me to come on orders, so I came on orders. Then he wanted me to. I was like his top guy in the maintenance area, and then he said to me one day that he said you should apply to be AGR. I asked him what it was. He gave me this field, and back then you used to mail your packet off, and I mailed my packet off to HRC, and it took, I want to say, eight months. HRC finally got back to me and they put me in a position, and I let him know because he's the one who assisted me. And the best advice that he gave me was, hey, you should do what I did for you for everybody else.
That's right.
He was
That's
like, never forget where you come from. And I know we spoke earlier. It happens in the military a lot. When you get to a specific rank, I think people just expect you to act different, like you've never been the previous rank before.
because
Like,
it's a lot of pressure to uphold this studio standard based upon your rank. I mean, there's no
mhm,
outline on how you're supposed to
yeah,
act based upon your rank. So people expect you to act some type of way. Some of the biggest criticism I get because I'm a full bird is, why are you acting like that? I said, well, teach me how to act like a full bird, right?
yeah,
Why are you hanging out with privates? I said, I went down to Fort Lee on my own dime. It had some soldiers down there. It had about, I don't know, 36 Muslim soldiers down there. So the sergeant major called me and said, hey, we can't pay for you to come down here, but we need some advice. I said, hey, set me a date. I'll pay my own way. We'll come down there. So I sat with these privates, right, for a
mhm,
couple of hours, and then had an LPD for the drill sergeants and the commanders the next day. And so after I left there, the sergeant major put a quote. She said, leaders like this don't come around too often.
mhm.
Wait for it. Because leaders like this don't come around too often. I said, you know,
Yeah,
our job as we reach to be senior, right, is to teach, is to be available, to be present.
yeah,
Most of us are so afraid to do that because we have this pseudo image that we're trying to protect. What image? If you're a leader, that should be the image, not what people think about the image. So for me, I gotta be honest with you. What other people think about me ain't none of my business. If I'm doing the right thing ethically, morally, I am not thinking about anybody else. I'm not worried about how it looks. I'm worried about taking care of it.
I got to tell you, when you call yourself Unicorn Goat, I don't have a problem with it. And I think If anybody else have a problem with it, like you said, their opinion is not an opinion. It's nothing for you to worry about.
No, that's
Yeah.
on them. And
Yeah.
everything I do is intentional.
Mhm.
And what I've achieved in life, you can't be, guys all the time tell me, hey, respectfully, you should be more humble. I said, probably one of the most humble people in the world. I said, you know
Mm.
why? Because your definition of humble and mine is different.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
I'm probably one of the most successful men in the world based upon education and what I've done in the military. I could sit back, pat myself on the chest, and tell everybody how great I am. That's arrogant.
Mhm.
Humbly, I try to give away everything that I have to people. Yesterday, just quite yesterday, two people hit me on the messenger in TikTok. One was a sergeant, and I'll tell you this story first. He was about an hour away from suicide, something in there. He
Cool.
saw my video and decided to inbox me and says, hey, I saw your video where you were thinking about taking your own life, and I see your life now. So I decided not to kill myself. I said, hey, send me your number. I talked to him for about an hour, right? And I said, hey, man, let me stay in your life. Let me get you whatever you need so you can be the best you can be. Well, he hit me in the inbox yesterday. Guess what? That young sergeant now is a lieutenant, right?
Oh, nice.
So it couldn't go on more than 3 hours. Young lady, Caucasian American, hits me up in the inbox. Thank you, oh my God, for amazing, encouragement and your letter of a letter of recommendation. Was a sergeant. Now she's a lieutenant. Now that's number 83 for me.
Mm.
3, just touching people's lives. Now
Yeah.
that's humility.
Yeah.
I don't have.
Just being the type of leader that you are.
Yeah, the Army is not paying me for that. I'm not a recruiter.
Exactly.
I'm doing that. I have a saying, and I use this in all of my speeches. I want you and your audience to listen to this. If you believe you're a good leader, pray to God that He sends to your children a leader 100% like you. I'm going to
Mm.
say that again so you don't miss that. If you believe that you're a good leader, pray to your God. Pray to the God of the heavens and the earth and that he sends your children a leader just like you. I can bet
Mm.
you 99% of the people will not make that prayer
Yeah.
because when it's time to lead in times of difficulty, standing up for people who don't have a place in this world, dreaming for people who can't dream, most of us are cowards.
Mm.
All we're worried about is our own particular ranking position. You don't stand up for anybody. You're just standing up for yourself. That's not a leader, in my humble opinion.
Right.
Those are people who are arrogant.
It's so much to unbox with that because, when I have a daughter who's 22, well, she'll be 22 in November. And
Yeah,
I often think about how she'll be when she is dating and she's getting married. And, I consider myself a good father, but I don't call myself a good father all the time. I think it's all in the eyes of how my children see me, right?
yeah,
And I often wonder, would I allow my daughter to date someone like I am now? But that being said, you still have flaws as a person, right? And if you think you don't have flaws, then you're 100% wrong.
of course.
And I always think, whether or not my my daughter will marry the version of the person that I am now. Because just like you, we all go through stuff and we all grow. So that's a deep question, and it makes you want to soul search a little bit to even try to be a better leader and a better person, leader in your household, leader in the community, leader
Absolutely.
at your job, wherever you are. So I think that's a deep question.
Yeah, and that's why I asked it in every speech because people
Mhm.
talk about leadership. And also, my young daughter was talking about, she introduced me to a guy, a young specialist, and she said, I was so nervous for him to meet you. I said,
Yeah,
why? She said, because of who you are. I
yeah,
said, your mom married me as a private first class.
yeah,
What are you nervous about? She said, I never thought of that.
yeah, yeah,
She didn't marry Colonel.
yeah,
She
yeah,
married private first class. You got to give
mhm,
people an opportunity to grow. So when I
yeah,
ask that question, the question is not about perfection. The question is about your stick-to-itiveness. The question is about who do you stand for? No,
mhm,
I'm not the perfect leader or the perfect father, but I can tell you this. My family has no question of whether I would stand for them, whether I would
yeah,
die for them. My
right,
soldiers have no question when it comes down to it about whether I'm gonna stand for them. I tell you the story. It's my division chaplain. I was the division chaplain down the 7th Infantry Division. We've been waiting about 2 months to get a office call with the general, division commander. Young soldier, extra duty, PFC, is standing in the hallway. I put my hand on his shoulder and he busts out crying. Why would a guy like you take your time to talk to me? I said, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm honest. I said, I
Yeah.
am you. I'm just older. I was on
Yeah.
extra duties, da da da. So he comes in. We talk for about 2 hours. You know, my deputy, the major, is beating down my door. Hey, we gotta be with this thing. We've been trying to get this for 2 months. I said, hey, brother, move out. Let me talk to
Yeah.
this soldier.
You're trying
Talk
to
to the
handle what's
soldier.
important.
Yeah, but that's not important to me. It's not that the CG is not important,
No, I
but what's
understand.
important to me is that freaking soul in front of my face because that guy's me. And I need to let him know he's as important as the commanding general. That guy's a captain today, Fort
Right.
Leonard Wood, Missouri. You know, that's when I talk about leadership. Leadership is about courage. Leadership is about being able to make a decision even when it may cost you. I mean, that could have cost me.
Yeah.
But nobody is more important to me than the person that's sitting in front of me.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know that you have, yeah, I think you mentioned 82, 83 stories of people that you've helped and have gone on to do particular things. You've been a leader amongst men, a leader in the chaplain community, the military community. Can you think of one story that absolutely stuck out to you? And I know you're not going to choose favorites, but can you think of one story that actually stuck out to you where you was like, man, I'm really glad that I helped that person?
Man, it was a young lady. This is amazing. It was a young lady. She's come down to the office every day. Young mother, single mother. And you know, for me, anybody comes in my office, I'm always telling them, hey, why don't you go to officer school? Why don't you go to officer school? Why don't you go to officer school? And they always say, you know, it's too political, it's this, it's that. So we work through that process. But she says, I'm too dumb. I'm just not a smart person. I
Oh
said,
man.
yeah, but it's actually quite common. But you know, she just let it out because she trusted me. She said, I'm too dumb. I'm not smart enough. And I said, I want you to come over to the wall with me. And so I came over. That's one of the reasons I hang out my degree. I got 9 degrees. I hang them up in my office. And I said, I want you to read the name on that. She said, Chap, you messing with me? I said, no. Read the name on that. And she read my name. And I said, none of those degrees on there have my GPA. I said, you know, I was special education, 8th grade, failed the 9th, 10th, 12th grade, you know, and those first 2 master's degrees, I was in their remedial classes. I said, no, you don't know that because it just says my name.
Right.
Nobody
Just the
cares.
result.
Yeah, that's the end result. I said, but most people don't go through the process. So there's a saying, most people die at 25, but they're not buried until they're 75. You know, most of us follow this false narrative that we are not good enough and that once we become 25, you know, our life is over, 30, 35, whatever. And our life is over, we pay bills, and we pour all into our kids, and we're like, our kids go take it to the next level. No, your kids will never have wings unless you show them how to fly. So for me, while I started this journey at 30, 31 years old to OCS, I could tell people that story. That's one of the most valuable things when they come to my office. I said, I didn't become commissioned officer till I was 31, right? And then we show them, and she's a W-2 today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's a
That's nice.
W-2. You know, part of what leadership is, this is a problem with leadership. We want to take the highest paid soldiers, the best soldiers, and then claim them of something you did. No. They self-made.
Yeah.
I want the bottom feeders. I want the people who don't have any confidence and any poor self-esteem like I had.
Mhm.
I want to raise them up because that's who God commissioned me to raise. This is why I say I don't speak truth to power. I speak truth to empower. I
Mm,
give me the people who don't have any confidence because I can identify with them.
nice.
Give me the average people because I can identify with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think I 100% agree with that. I know it's been so many situations where there's a couple of situations where I've been a part of and I witnessed. You have a soldier that's like outstanding, and they want their soldier to go to boards, and they wanted to go to, soldier of the month, the best warrior competition. But nobody knew anything about that soldier before he was what he is now. And like you said, he was pretty much self-made,
Yeah, that's right.
and I like it. I like it when you have a leader that can see the I like that old Marvin Sapp song said, he saw the best in me,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
I love it when a leader sees the best in you when you don't see the best in yourself. And I think that is a outstanding, way to look at leadership and a way to say that you're going to help people, because it's easy to claim somebody when they're at the top. It's easy to say, oh, this is my soldier. My soldier made it. He's captain now. He's a major now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
right.
where were you when he or she was struggling? Were you there then?
No,
Did you take your uniform top off and reach down and pull them out of the mud? Because everybody goes through something.
that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. You know, this guy came to my office the other day to see me, right? And I was so excited to see him. But the last time I saw him, he was in the airport. He was a specialist, and he had a trophy in his hand, the Soldier
Mm.
of the Month. So I walked over to him, and I'm in civilian clothes. I said, "Hey, man, can I be your mentor?" And so he's looking at me like, "Man, who the hell got you?"
Yeah.
So I talked to him a little bit and let him know who I was. And I said, man, it's great. I appreciate you being a great soldier. You got a wife and 3 kids. You 25 years old. Let's get you to OCS. And no, it's too political. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, why is the Army the only place in the world where if you move up, you considered a sellout?
Yeah, it is.
Why is that? And then I
That's a
said,
good way. That's a good way to look at it. I ain't even thought about it like that.
yeah, it's the only place in America like, well, I don't want to be no officer because they sell outs and then they can't be around soldiers. I said, who said that? No, you said that. Your friend said that. When
Mhm.
you become an officer, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm an officer. I'm around soldiers all the time. I'm around more soldiers than I am officers, but that's a whole nother thing. So anyway, my job is to coach people, right? And so we coached him, sent him a letter of recommendation. 5 years later, he did aide de camp for a general.
Oh, nice.
Comes to the office named Frazier. He comes to the office and say, "Oh my God, I got to introduce you to my boss. I got to tell. He's up there talking to your boss, General Flynn. I just want to tell him everything about you." I said, "Hey, listen, you don't have to do that. I helped you. That's it." I did go up and meet him and talk to him, and he says, I just glad to meet you because this guy talks about you like all year round, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted him to know and his family to know that that's the type of leader you should be, right? It ain't about me. I'm gonna get whatever I get. I've been very successful, but sometimes as we're talking, we really don't give back enough because we're
Yeah.
scared. People gonna hurt us. People gonna talk about us. All that's part of life, man. If you read the autobiography of anybody, Jesus, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Jackie Robinson, all these giants, the people who are closest to them betrayed them. So if you're a student of history, you understand that. Did they still get their prominence? Did they still get their goals? Yes, they did. I mean, they got hurt in the process.
I
Okay.
think that's I think that like I said, I think that your leadership and your outreach to all your soldiers is just, nothing short of amazing in how you motivate people, how you essentially reach down to the level to where they are. Because you can't see people that are below you if you don't, put your head down and look for them. You know?
That's right.
And I want to
Absolutely.
touch and I want to touch on something else. I know that you have billions of views on
Yeah.
TikTok, and I know people follow you on YouTube and Facebook and things like that. But when it comes to, your social media interactions, I want to know how, if anybody reached back out to you, right? What type of interactions do you get back from those soldiers that you reach out to? And I'm gonna say this before because I know I don't know how old you are, but I grew up in a generation where people just don't like social media, you know? But you have to change with times. You understand what I'm saying? Especially if you want to reach people. Like you want to reach these young people, they got their phone in their hand all day. You ain't gonna reach them by, going by their office and saying hello. You want to understand how they are. But what type of interactions have you got back from either soldiers or civilians that
Well,
you've spoken to or reached on social media platforms?
first of all, let me say I'm 55. I've gotten a grandkid, 4 grandkids, 3 kids and 4 grandkids. I think the internet is a dangerous place, right? If you don't have a defined strategy, right? Most people do things for followers, right? I do things that are inherent in me to uplift people, and those people who follow me, I'm grateful for that. I'm going to say that again so people won't miss that. Most
Yeah.
people do things for followers. I do things that are inherent to me, and I'm grateful for any followers that I have. I actually do the same thing every day. I get up in the morning, I go lift weights, I do the elliptical, and I put quotes down at the end of my workout, right? I have a defined strategy. I need to be in the space where people are so people can see and then people can reach out because I'm a wealth of resource, right? So the problem with people on the internet, they don't have a strategy. They start following all these trends and those trends get them in trouble, right? Secondly, I understand I'm a huge human being. That's one strike. I'm a chaplain. That's two strikes. I'm an African American. That could be my third strike.
Mhm.
So how do I make myself amenable and approachable to these young kids? The
Right.
internet, right? But you just have to stay in your left and your right limits. People are putting songs behind their music,
Mhm.
behind their videos. I do too. But it ain't got the N word in there. It ain't got no cuss words in there. It ain't got anything because I understand I'm in the military.
Right.
It's so many people losing their careers behind TikTok. Battalion commander, my friend, associate, he calls and he said, man, they discriminating against me. I didn't even say the N word, but it's in my music. They did an EO complaint and now I'm getting relieved of command. It ain't fair. I said, this is not the time that you probably want to hear this. I
Yeah.
said, but as a battalion commander, why did you do that?
Right.
You're trying to get followers. What you should be trying to do really is do what you do, and if the followers come, they come.
Yeah.
Right? Most of us are just trying to do anything crazy thing for followers. I got another partner. He was my fraternity brother, major with 4 kids, administratively discharged, no retirement, behind the freaking internet
Mm.
because shared a video with some soldiers twerking in uniform. Bro, you a
Oh man.
major.
Oh yeah.
Like you an officer in the United States Army. Read the policy
Yeah.
on social media. So anyway, that was a long answer to say I'm clear on what and when I post and why I post.
You know, it's interesting the point that you said about followers. So as you know, I started a podcast about a month and a half ago, and I've only shared this with one other person, but I was an instructor in Fort Knox, and the reason why I wanted to start a podcast because I felt like I had something more to give besides just being a master sergeant or just being somebody that was in the military. I wanted to give back more. And when I started the podcast, I had a comment, not a comment, somebody inboxed me. The name of the podcast is Leadership Conversation Podcast, essentially where I talk about leadership.
Yeah.
And someone inboxed me and they said, I'm paraphrasing, of course. I think the words were, do you know enough about leadership to have a podcast? And how you going to get followers?
That's right. That's right.
I can tell you, my YouTube page probably has about, I don't know, 7 or 8 subscribers, right? And I'm talking to my son all the time about it. He was like, oh, Dad, you need more followers. You need more followers. I was like, look, man, I'm not doing it for the followers. I said, I genuinely enjoy just talking about the conversation of leadership. It's not that I do feel like I'm a good leader, but I don't feel like I'm the best leader and that I can't learn anything from anybody, because if that was the case, and my granddad said, if you feel like you're in a room and you can't learn nothing from anybody in the room, you need to change rooms.
Of
You need to go
course.
somewhere else. And I don't feel like I'm the best leader, but I like having conversations about leadership. And that's it. That's all it is a conversation about leadership. But when I
Yeah.
saw the message, I didn't even feel the need to respond. Because sometimes everything don't desire a response from you. And
Yeah. I agree with you. And then, when you understand it's not about followers, it's about views,
mhm,
right? You want people to view your site. So I
mhm,
only have about 6, well, on Spotify, I do have close to 1 million, but on TikTok, it's 64,000, but it's got 1.3 billion views. So the
right.
views are important because that's the exposure. You see what I'm saying? And so you don't know. I think at that time I had 30,000 followers on TikTok. The Wall Street Journal contacted me, right? And wanted to do an interview based upon those followers, right? My point is, you don't know who's watching your page.
Yep,
It
that's
doesn't
true.
take 100,000 followers. It takes one follower that has some importance and say, wow, I like his style. You
Yep,
see, a lot of people get caught up in the followers, and most of those followers, they don't even see your stuff every day anyway.
yep,
They just like something one day and then they just forgot to unfollow you. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I don't worry about that. I just worry about the exposure.
All right. Well, I know social media is so pronounced, of course, nowadays. But what role do you feel like that leadership has in trying to choose my words carefully and essentially bridging the gap between what people see in uniform and what the society sees in uniform at large and how soldiers are on social media? What type of what do you see that bridge coming in that?
Well, if I understand the question correctly, the bridge has to be authenticity. I think, again, if we go back to the previous question, so many people are being who they're not on the
Oh,
internet,
that's a great point.
right?
Yeah.
If you're being who you are, I'm not on the internet being outside of myself. Like yesterday, I'm trying to encourage my wife to do videos because I think it's good to see two African American folks in particular who are married, who are doing things together. That's who
Mhm.
I am, right? Working out, that's who I am. Or if I'm taking pictures about my grandkids, that's who I am, right?
Right,
So many of us are projecting who we're not, and that's inauthentic, and that's how you get yourself in trouble. So to bridge that gap, soldiers got to realize your first main commitment is to the United States Army. So you can you can get 100,000 followers, and they got specialists with 100,000 followers, and they
right.
make compensation for that. But if they lose their job in the army, it won't be enough for them to sustain themselves.
No, it
They don't
won't.
understand that to me.
Yeah,
And so if they had somebody in their lives who could communicate that to them without them thinking that that person is being a hater because they don't have as many followers, then they would be better off, right? So the to me, the followers are an illusion because we
mhm,
don't keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing for me is being a chaplain for a four-star commander and knowing that I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing him and my family. And so
exactly.
I always keep that in context.
Right. Well, I know that, I speak to I got a son that's in the army, and a lot of people feel that he joined just because, well, I made him join. But that wasn't the case. It was something that he wanted to do, you know? And he'll tell me often, like, Dad, I'm really proud that I decided to go this route. As you know, I'm from Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson State. Walter Payton had a quote one time, and he said that when you're good at something, you'll tell yourself. But when you're great at something, somebody else will tell you.
That's right.
And my son tells me often how proud of me he is, but he doesn't know I'm just as proud of him. And my main advice to him when it comes to like getting promoted or, making money or doing things in general is just be yourself, bro. I was like, that's it. Me and my wife tell him all the time, hey man, just be yourself, kid. Everybody else is taken. Just be yourself. You don't understand how unique you are as a person. If you look at the statistic on what it takes for a person to be born, like you are essentially a miracle as a person, and just be
Yeah.
yourself. I think it's super authentic.
Yeah, and then just going back to the initial, whether you made him join or he joined himself as a father, that's your inherent responsibility.
Mhm.
You know, when my son was getting ready to get out of high school, me and my wife called all kind of congressmen to get him into West Point.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be in the army, but our job was to set the kid up for success. He got in,
Hmm.
he didn't like the army, he got out.
Right.
That had nothing to do with me. But
Right.
my job as a parent is to make sure the kid is successful. So I think a lot of time, like Serena Williams' dad, Michael Jackson dad, Tiger Williams was dad, they getting all of this praise because these people turned out to be phenomenal people. You got people like me and you who are telling our kids to do something that they may not have reached that height. We should get the same type of praise because they ain't
Yeah.
drug dealers, they ain't strippers, they ain't tracked out. We
Hmm.
just regular people who say, hey, no, this is the right path to take. And I'm
Hey,
your
yeah.
father.
Hmm.
Therefore, it gives you an opportunity. I have no
Yeah.
problem standing up to people and say, did you make your son do that? Did you make your
Yeah.
daughter do that? Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the problem?
Yeah. Yeah. I had some, not criticism, but you know how, LeBron James got his son on the Lakers or whatever. And someone was like, I don't
The go-
believe I don't believe how anybody could do that. I don't believe how anybody could do that. He on the Lakers because of his son. And I was like, listen, my son is in the military. You don't think that I gave my son any advice on what MOS he should choose, what degree he should take up, where he should try to get stationed at? how he should try to get promoted. I said, those are all inside tracks. And I said, because I've been where I am before and he hasn't. And my ultimate responsibility as a father is to make sure that my son and my daughters are successful in life. And
And
for what, I don't care if it's LeBron James or whoever, you put them in the right position to succeed.
those people are simpletons, man.
Yeah.
You know, love LeBron. I
Yeah.
absolutely adore him. People have been using nepotism from the beginning of time.
Oh yeah.
Now all of a sudden, LeBron
It's
does it.
a problem.
What
Yeah.
billionaire that that hadn't given their children a leg up? I was a basketball coach, literally, with 12-year-olds. My son
Mhm.
was 10, and he was a starting point guard.
Yeah. You
He
put him
wasn't.
out there.
I have an opportunity to do that. I'm the head coach.
Yeah.
Right? That's what people do
Yeah.
to ensure their children get to the next level. People who don't understand that are pure haters.
Yeah.
See, nobody said anything about George Carl. He was the coach. He put his son on a negative, on a
Yep.
negative. You didn't hear about that. The kid didn't score but like 5 points the whole season,
Yeah.
right? Michael Jordan would have done that, but his sons weren't even good enough to do that. And then second of all,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan didn't have the personality that LeBron James had. LeBron don't care about them guys. He's family
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
He's family first. So yeah, I'm telling you, my wife and kids know I love LeBron so much because of who he is, not just because of his
Mhm.
basketball acumen.
Same
That,
here. Same
that
here.
they want to fly me from Florida to Los Angeles to see him break the records. Right? I'm not that much into LeBron. I said, hey, we can save that money to bread, but I love him, man. I think people like that are so courageous.
Oh yeah.
I love him, and I hope to meet him one day. I love the way he treats his wife. I love the way
Mhm.
that he adores his kids. He's the ultimate example of what we should strive to be. And I'm
I
older than
believe that.
I'm older than him, and
Yeah.
I've been doing what he's been doing before he was doing it. But he's in the spotlight. This
Yeah.
guy got. I mean, let's be honest. Because I have friends that play pro basketball. He got 20 women on the floor that are trying to get at him. He
Mhm.
got 10 that get past the security guards on the first, second, third floor. And he probably got 5 knocking on his door by the time he goes to sleep. No scandals. He loves his family.
Same woman he been with in high school
Yeah,
and his kid's life. No father around. Yep.
yeah,
I agree with you. For the same reason that you like LeBron is the same reason I like him. And
yeah,
he started his school.
yeah. He did school, $41 million for kids going on scholarship. He built the school. All those people who don't like LeBron, they hate themselves.
Yeah.
On my personal Facebook site, I have that. I won't say I lost them, but I told them we do no negativity on LeBron on my site.
Yeah.
If you are negative, I delete them.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing that comment before. All negative comments will get you booty.
Oh yeah, because if it is true that you control your narratives, your left and right limits on what boundaries that you have for yourself, if you
Yeah.
believe this guy is a role model, why would you let somebody come on your site that God knows who's going to see and let them tear him down? And
Spread negativity.
some of my friends tried it, and I
Yeah.
said we still be friends, but you would no longer be on my Facebook site, and they were
I
hot
hear,
about it. I don't care.
I hear that. Well, let me ask you this, switching it back to the military. If you can look at throughout your 28-year career, what is one major piece of advice that you would give young Michael Barnes?
Yeah. 33 years, by the way. 33 years. Very proud of that. One thing that I would tell Michael Barnes is you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around, right? I left Louisiana to get away from some thugs, game in the military, and went right back around some different type of thugs,
Right.
right? I did because I didn't have any self-esteem. Those were the people I identified with. When I'm talking about thugs, I ain't talking about gangsters. I'm talking about the thug mentality of not wanting to progress. I remember going to I started, wanting to go to the board, E5 and all that kind of stuff. And just like the comment that the guy made at you about leadership. Now, these are my best friends. We hanging out, we drinking, we playing ball. And I want to go to Soldier Minor Board. I'm really inspired. I want to be an E5. I want to be a sergeant. They said, Negro, you can't even be a good specialist. How you gonna be a smart? These the dudes that I'm hanging out with. These the
Yeah.
dudes in my house, eating my food, hugging my wife, being around my kids. So I would tell young Michael Barnes, you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around. So
Yeah.
when I decided to change, I got rid of all of them Negroes.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta, they said, I tell my son this, and he probably don't care. I ain't putting too much of his business out there, but I was like, DJ, I don't know your friends, brother. I was like, but if all the friends that you hang around ain't uplifting you, I was like, you probably hanging around the wrong people. I was like, listen, I said, elevation in any form, I don't care if it's a civilian world, the military world, elevation requires separation. Sometimes you got to separate yourself from the people that'll bring you down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
of course, it's a
I tell you,
it's an old saying. You got to turn your back on the orchestra. Sometimes you have to turn your back on the orchestra to lead them, and it's
yeah,
metaphorical because you really do have to turn your back on them to lead the orchestra.
mhm,
I have a saying. I've evolved many sayings over my life, but I tell anybody in my life, if it don't evolve me, don't involve. If it don't evolve me,
involved, don't involve.
don't involve me. I'm about
Right.
progress. I'm about showing my children that what's possible. I was
Yeah,
I was at the Pentagon doing a podcast, and the guy said the same thing that you asked me. He said, kind of like, he said, what are you most proud of in life? I said, I provided my children a life that they didn't have to recover from. Right?
mm,
I have shown them whatever you are, whatever you choose to be, whatever you choose to believe. I don't control that. If that's what you believe, go 100% at it.
mm,
And all of the naysayers, they will eventually become believers. I was given a Wall Street Journal. The lady came and she said, she said, we have interviewed presidents, congressmen, prime ministers, and world leaders. She made me cry. She said, we have never met a man as interesting as you. She
yeah,
said, you are the highest ranking Muslim colonel in military history. How the hell did you get here? We've
yeah,
been in a conflict in the Middle East for 20 years. How do you get yourself to this level? I told her like I'll tell anybody. I was 100% authentic to who I am, and that's taking care of God's people.
mm,
I didn't say God's Muslims. I didn't say God's Christians. I didn't say God's Buddhists. Whoever the hell you may think you are, my job is when you leave my presence, I want you to be stronger. That's all
yeah,
I care about. And people, thank God, saw that. And I mean, I transcended the title of Muslim chaplain, and they gave me good reports. This shirt, I wore this intentionally. It's U.S. Army War College, right? For a chaplain to get into War College, it's a miracle. I want you to think about the miracle that's in the miracle. There's never been a Muslim chaplain to go to War College because nobody's reached this high. So the commander said, Chaplain, you going to War College is like winning the lottery 3 times in one day.
damn. How's
Think
that?
about it, because it's only 3 chaplains per year to go to War College. That means you have to have perfect records, right? I'm Muslim. There's never been a Muslim colonel in the history of the United States military. So I have to make colonel. Then I have to have perfect records as a colonel to
Mhm,
even get looked at for War College. And that means now I have to have the best records over my other peers who are colonels. And so only 3 of us get to go. People, that's a miracle. I mean, we've been in the Middle East for 20 years.
mhm,
I'm a Muslim. The commanders have been giving me good ratings because I've done my job. They could have had
yeah,
all kinds of bias against Muslims, against African American, or whatever.
yeah, I
But
got you.
I've been able to transcend that. My first duty station, let me tell you about bias. I walk in, I said, hey, sir, how you doing? He wouldn't even shake my hand. He
Really?
said, I'm sure you're a good guy. And I quote, but we have some problems with your religion and how you guys treat women. Have a nice day.
Dang.
9 months. He didn't speak to me,
I was gonna
right?
say that he don't even know you.
It doesn't matter. People have, we call it confirmation bias,
Yep.
right? Your skin, your religion, where you from, Mississippi, Louisiana, they've already, whoever they are, they put out a stereotype about you, right? And so,
Mhm,
no, he didn't know me. But I went in the trunk, I cried, and I said, you know what? That's where I came up with the slogan, I'm not going to speak truth to power. I'm going to speak truth to empower. I went out with the troops. I played ball with them, lift weights with them, ran with them. After 9 months, to his credit, he saw I was so effective. He came in front of the battalion, gave me a coin, and was crying and said, I have disparaged this man and I want to apologize.
Yeah.
Right. And so I always say when something bad happens to you, God is preparing you for something. I learned that as a young first-term captain. And so I stopped catering to commanders. I just went and took care of the soldiers. And I've been doing that for 33 years. And that's what made me successful. So getting into war college and finishing war college was a miracle. Now, once you finish war college, now you get to work for 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star commanders.
Right.
I'm still African American. I'm still a huge man, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done very well in all those commands. Most
Yeah.
people don't because the article hadn't came out yet. This is my second 4-star command. Never been done in the history of the United States.
Yeah.
Right? There's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's
an article
amazing.
about it next but soon. But I mean, my point to that is whatever you decide to be, do it with confidence, and make sure you give it 100%, and the outcome gonna come.
Nice. I know we're coming to a close soon, but I got a couple more questions for you. One question is, what do you want your legacy to be? Once you leave this earth, once you leave the military, what is the legacy of Colonel Shabazz?
He cared about others. He was a real model, not a role model.
Got it. And what about I asked this question to all of my guests. What's your favorite leadership quote and why?
My favorite leadership quote is Colin Powell. It says, soldiers are going to bring you their problems. They're going to form two opinions that either you don't care or you don't have the time to care. And I'm paraphrasing. And he says, either case is a leadership failure. And so he said leadership is about solving problems, right? And so what we talked about is solving soldiers' problems. He said soldiers are going to either say that you don't care, you don't pretend, don't want to care. And so for me, that's my favorite leadership quote. I got it on the bottom of my email. When things happen, yesterday, young specialist in the gym crying. I don't like to stop my workout. That's why I work out at 3:30 in the morning. But
Yeah.
I stopped my workout and talked to her and her husband and told her to contact me because leadership is about solving problems. It's not about you.
Yeah.
And so I'll say that with my own leadership quote, which is my favorite for me. I'm a chaplain. I said, your leadership is a sermon. Be careful how you preach it. That's my quote. Your leadership is a sermon. Be careful how you preach it. We talk about this God. We talk about this family. We talk about all these things. But your personal example, how you take care of people, that's your sermon. You could talk to me all day. I ain't listening. I'd rather see a sermon any day.
Your leadership is a sermon. Be careful how you preach it. Wise words. Well, I tell you what, Chaplain, I really, really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate you, spreading the words. I'm pretty sure that when people listen to this podcast, you said something that will motivate the masses. And,
Yes.
I know you're a chaplain and you used to telling people to reach out to me if you need anything, but I always tell people, whatever your rank is, you can always reach out to me. We'll talk. And I promise you this, it won't be the last time that you hear from me.
Good. Good.
All right.
For having me. I appreciate it. And anything I could do for you or anybody else, please let me know. Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Colonel Shabazz from the Leadership Conversation podcast. Tune in next episode. Hope it drops soon for you.
Have a good day.
You too.